What is AWS? AWS stands for Amazon Web Services, and AWS is a pioneer and leader in commercial cloud computing services space. The term cloud generally refers to anything involving hosted services over internet. These hosted services are often broken down into different flavors, three flavors mainly. Is infrastructure as service, also shortly known as IaaS, and this is primarily a bare-bones server which you can subscribe from AWS, and you can install your operating system and applications, whatever you would like to do. The second flavor is platform as services. It's called as PaaS. PaaS is you have a ready set up platform. Like if you want to have a Windows server with specific configuration of security and other firewalls, you have a ready server available, and you can basically take this server which is installed with operating system and all the required configurations. You can just host your application over it. And the last one, a very popular one, is SaaS, which means software as a service, which you have a complete application being hosted and you can just use the application. The very simple example or popular example for this is your email, like Gmail application. So it's a SaaS. And your Salesforce, if you're using a cloud version of Salesforce, a CRM application, it's also another good example of your SaaS. Since its inception in 2006, AWS remains the market leader till today, with over 70 plus AWS services and over 1 million customer base. If you see the market share, AWS has about 35 to 40% of the entire cloud computing, the customer base, 40% of the market share, which is huge. AWS are spread across various areas, like you have so many services, 70 plus services spread across different areas like computing, storage, networking, database, analytics, application services, and deployment services, and many more, of course. The most popular one includes your Amazon Simple Storage Service, also popularly known as S3, where you can store your data. And there are two kinds of S3. One is a redundant one, which is low cost, which you can store a kind of backup data. Another one is an active one, which is a live website and all the stuff. Even the other application services of Amazon depends on your S3. And the second popular one is your EC2, Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, called as EC2. This basically servers is a computing power you're gonna buy that. We will see an example of this. A relational database system or service, RDS, a very configured RDS service with instances being installed in it, like MySQL or whatever DB or Oracle you're looking for, and works seamlessly. And CloudFront is called a CDN, Content Delivery Network. These are the four popular Amazon services which is heavily used. So more than 85% of the market share of the Amazon revenue comes from these top four services. Amazon is being adopted by 60% of the Fortune 500 companies and about a 1 million customer base, which we already discussed in the previous slide. The demand for AWS professionals are growing rapidly. As you can see, more and more services, applications are moving towards cloud. Even most of the banking applications, a part of it, we call it as hybrid cloud, is actually moving into the cloud. May it be a private cloud or hybrid or a public cloud, the infrastructure, the kind of work and the management of the cloud remains the same. All right. We have several roles being more evolving and matured and well defined specifically with AWS, such as AWS Administrator, AWS Engineer, very generic role, AWS Architect, who is going to design the architecture of your AWS system, the cloud system. If you want hosting an application, what kind of application, what is the latency, and how many customers will be simultaneously available, the response and everything. So on the redundancy, reliability. Based on the requirement, the architect is supposed to create an architecture. We will take a very quick look of this as well. Technical lead, who is basically aware of, who is a senior developer of all the Amazon services and actually lead the projects. As of today, there are about 25,000 open opportunities. Let me see. So if you go to any portal, let's say Indeed.com, okay, and I shall type AWS jobs. I just leave AWS because so you can see about 25,340. It is today is 6th of September 2017. Right. So this is a job, and if you can see the description, you have AWS architect, system administrator, architect plus plus, kind of more senior architect, maybe they call it as architect, solution architect plus plus. So most of the jobs are engineers, architects, cloud solution architect. So there's a huge demand for architect. Let me just go for the second page. You have DevOps, AWS DevOps engineer, solution architect, junior cloud engineer, which seems to be a beginner profile, etc. If you go to Indian portal, so SkillLogic is primarily majority of the business is in India, and of course we also do outside, but it's like 20-25%. So let me check the Indian market. It's about, seems a bit less, 3,500. Okay, so it's less than what is being mentioned over here, 6,000, because this was taken a week before. But this is it translates, it fluctuates. So on an average, about 5,000 open opportunities at a time in India, and about 25,000 open opportunities in US in AWS. This is huge. The kind of opportunities you have is huge, and this is going to be even more brighter, or even more opportunities as more and more services, more and more companies are moving towards AWS cloud computing. The courses SkillLogic offers are both in traditional classroom training, which happens in weekends, and some classes in weekdays as well, and in online. And there is also a mixture of both classroom and online training. When you say online, it's instructor-led online. So you have an instructor who is teaching you online with all the proper things, just like what we are doing in this video. So we have 4 certifications: AWS Essentials, Certified AWS Developer, Certified AWS Solution Architect. Remember, we have just seen so many jobs in US on this particular area, Solution Architect, AWS Solution Architect. And you also have a SysOp Associate, which is basically an administrator. So there are a lot of administrator role for them. SysOp Associate is because this is talking about maintaining operations of Amazon AWS Services and the applications installed. What we cover in AWS Essentials. AWS Essentials training focus on getting you started with the popular AWS services. For example, basic AWS CLI, which is command line interface, setting up EC2 servers, RDS instances, elastic IPs, etc. And also how to create a scalable web application. So this if I have to show you how do you do it, we will ask all the participants to open up their own AWS accounts as we start the class. I mean, the first session is mostly on setting up your account. So all the participants at the classroom or online will be having their own account. So I have my account already installed, but when you're creating a new account, you'll be asked several questions about your location, some verification. You might have to give a debit card. It does not cost you anything because Amazon has an excellent free tier, which is like if you play with one server across the month, you will not be charged at all. Even if you charge, it might be $1 or so. It's really minimal. So this course, the essential course, actually deals with navigating through all the services, most of the popular ones, and especially for computing, storage, and database. We definitely look into it. And we also touch a CloudWatch to some extent because that comes under monitoring of IT infrastructure. We will go through a high-level picture of popular tools in each domain and go in detail about EC3, EC2, and Elastic Beanstalk and RDS, and there is a CloudFront. So these are the 4 things which is extensively dealt in the Essentials training. Okay. So we will tell you how to actually spin off EC2 server. There is one server. No, there is no servers running right now. So there is one server here. So we will tell you how to actually spin off a server. And let me start this instance. Okay. This is one of the example case we used in DevOps training. and I'm just starting the server. Okay, and we will tell you how to connect to the server using a client called as Bitwise. Okay, so hope this server is up and running. So this is a public IP. Using this IP, and I do not have any. Okay, so we need to import a key. I will see if I have it, because okay, I need to do all files, go a little back and see if I have that. And the key normally ends with PEM file, PEM. Okay, Amazon. This seems to be because it's my account name, so I'm just going to import that key. Okay, and I select that and I'll say login, accept and save. Only first time it asks that, and when you restart it, you are connected to the Amazon service. This is the same server which you have spinned off. So I can look into the things. I have done some examples, some things. We are actually working with Jenkins, which is a DevOps tool. So you can see how many I think the Docker is running. So there is no images in Docker. So I'm just basically logged into the connected. These are the instances. This Docker is another tool in DevOps. So the essential training involves how to spin off a server, connect to it, install certain application, and run a live website. So the end-to-end with all the other services like S3 is covered in your Essentials. It's called as Essentials, but it's much more than that. A person attending Essentials will be able to set up the entire website hosted in Amazon AWS, along with a very good knowledge about RDS and S3 and configuring the security groups. We have security groups, which is very essential to configure, because one of the important aspect of setting up a server is security. As the cyber threats are increasing rapidly, a good security is very much needed. So here I can see that security has been set up using a test group. I can click that, and being it's a demo one, we have allowed all the ports and all the sources, but this has to be configured in such a way that no security threats or from the spams and the spy, the bots will not attack your website and get it down. So this security is also is a part of your essential certification training. All right, and the next certification is your developer. So this goes a bit more into Amazon AWS. Here we are talking about how to access the AWS services using programming and coding, how to connect to HTTP REST and so. For example, the server we just spinned off. I just used one server. Yeah, there's one running server. Okay, so I could actually access this server from a command prompt programming. So I'm not going to write a programming now. I'm going to show you how to so I'm going to shut it down right now. As you can see, this is running server. Okay, let me try to shut it down. There is a EC2 command called as stop, and I can look into the documentation. Because you don't have to remember all these things. EC2 CLI command reference. So I could go to the CLI command reference and say how to stop an instance. So basically I need to type in instances. Okay, so I have to just copy this stuff, or at least till here. Okay, I'm trying to paste it. Okay. Alright, so I have a problem with my mouse. It says AWS EC2 stop instances and 2-instances ID, and I need to copy paste the instance ID from here. So where is the instance ID? So this is the instance ID. Okay. So I take it, is it really a problem with my mouse? Okay, so I have pasted it. On typing enter, it will give an output saying it's trying to stop. Yeah, it says if you see that I was connected to it, so it got terminated now, disconnected, because my instance is stopped, and the previous state was running and the current state was stopping, and it stopped. If you just refresh this, you'll see that our server is stopping, not yet stopped but stopping. So I have initiated my command from outside the console using AWS CLI to this level. So it's just one command we have executed, but there are a lot of commands in terms of restarting, booting up, installing the services, doing a backups, connecting and executing certain commands over REST and SOAP protocol. These are the things which is discussed in your AWS developer course. And end of the course, of course, you have a certification which needs to be cleared to get certified as AWS developer. And the third one is about solution architecture. This is for a senior profile. As you can see, there's a lot of jobs in the architecture level. And this talks with the person who is doing this should be a bit senior. He's already completed the first two and have good experience in managing the Amazon services as such. And this is about designing the infrastructure itself. So how to optimize the Amazon web services, different services in such a way that you get a very scalable infrastructure with minimal cost and also very reliable and fast with a very less latency as required by the services. Okay. One of the trial architecture we have is taken from the Amazon itself is this one. This is the hosting of your WordPress website. As you can see, this is two layer. I mean, basically you are setting up two things with a load balancer over here, and both are auto scaling. So when you say auto scaling, you can set up a beam stack and it automatically takes care of auto scaling. This is actual website running. So we have Amazon CloudFront, which is a CDN. If you know CDN, a content delivery network. So wherever across the globe you access, your speed will not vary. Especially if you have a server in US and you are from India, there is a lot of distance. So when a request is served from US to India, you might feel it's really slow. What CDN does it, whenever you access from India, first time it copies all the stuff to another server which is near to your user base. This is you. Okay, and all the further requests will be served from the nearest server. And that's the concept of your CDN. CDN is content distribution network. So it basically copies your site or the content or the data in different location across the globe in various points. So when a user requests from here, it takes from the nearest server. That's how it keeps your speed and the latency at the very minimal possible levels. So there's a CDN over here. We have Amazon Route 53, which is a DNS. It's a domain name server, right? We'll talk about it. It's a little deeper concept. The entire architecture, how you set up and how you actually use all the Amazon services effectively. The goal is to minimize the cost, okay, high reliability as required, and speed and latency and scalability. If the service is going up, it should automatically scale up. This is called auto scaling. All right. So setting up this is one example. This is for a WordPress website application, content management application. Right. If you're looking for a Java application, if you're looking for any SaaS-based application for your client and customer, there are different architectures available. So this certification is focused on going through each and every modules of all these Amazon Web Services and how to actually combine them in such a way that you can offer a well-designed infrastructure with the minimum cost, required reliability, high reliability, speed and latency, and scalability, and security, of course. All right, the fourth one is primarily for the people who are into operations, so who are managing the services, taking the tickets, and fixing certain things, and supporting application team. All right, it's more like an operation guys. And it's 1 or 2 years in operations in cloud or infrastructure. The people are very ideal for this kind of certification. Okay, that's all about the 4 certifications we offer. The training approach we follow is we will ask all the people to actually connect to the servers, their own servers. They'll spin off their own servers. As and when the class is taken by a trainer. I myself take certain classes, right? So the participants actually do it by themselves. Any problems or technical errors or bugs they encounter, the trainer will log into their server and fix it. And in this way, at the end of this course, the participants gain a complete hands-on experience, and they can actually go and deploy the servers very confidently. And that also makes you a very confident resource to face an interview, and you can probably get best jobs in cloud computing space. SkillLogic also has a special dedicated team. We call it as PAT, Placement Assistance Team, and who are dedicatedly mapping the candidate's profile to the market opportunities. We work with both US opportunities and Indian opportunities. We have a dedicated team who are continuously looking at the new opportunities coming in the market, speaking to the hiring managers, and trying to find the students who are matching to their profile, and also giving an interview guidelines to the students, preparing them, and actually sending them to interviews. So this is a complimentary service we provide for the whoever people who take the courses from SkillFloor. All right, so that's all. I hope the AWS is, at least after seeing this video, you are interested in it. I can tell you this is a huge opportunity, and this is going to be only more hotter in coming few years, given that you have the Internet of Services coming in and all the big data. Everything is forcing all the service providers, application vendors, software developing companies to move towards cloud. Even the mobile applications or any application you talk about, the back office and the service part is in cloud, so which is ultimately going to push most of the jobs in the infrastructure into cloud jobs. Right? So any further questions, you can call this number. That's a toll-free number, and you can go to skillfloor.com website to find more information and other courses, and also you have a live chat over there. Let me see. Okay, so you have skillfloor.com. This is a website. If you can, you have a live chat over here. You can just put in your details, and one of my colleague will get in touch with you to provide you the information and any discounts and batch details, etc. All right, I wish you a very best in your AWS career, and have a great day.